The Chargers continue to sell off the team bit by bit. The Sparks want to show you that they've ended the drama. Winning more games, on the other hand. And Jim Hiller will keep his job as Kings coach. Good morning. I'm James. And this is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the Faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It is May 16th, 2025. By the time you see this clip, I'm going to be on a plane heading home from work, and I totally can't wait. So let's celebrate by talking about the majesty of LA sports. And if you like being in the know about LA, click the like button. Click the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It lets you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a quick look at the scoreboard. Dodgers 19, Sacramento 2. The Dodgers' magic number, because we know it's only a matter of time before the NL West is theirs again, is 119. Meanwhile, today, Anaheim is in town to play the Dodgers at 7. The Sparks kick off the WNBA season against Golden State up north at 7. So what do you say we get to the news? The Chargers have requested that the NFL approve a sale of 8% of the franchise to a private equity firm called Arctos. This deal could be finished as early as this month. Now look, 8% does not sound like much, but that, plus the individual stake that Dia Spanos Berbian sold less than a year ago, leaves the remaining stake retained by the family at just 61%. Now, it's a controlling percentage, obviously, but when you take a step back, it revives some pretty uncomfortable questions about the financial stability of the franchise. You sell off more than a third of the team in less than a year. If you recall, after the passing of Alex Spanos, when the franchise was based in Slime, Diego, the will left the son, Dean, in charge of the decision-making, and all the other kids gets a slice of the pie. Now, Berberin eventually sued her own brother, accusing him of self-dealing and breaches of fiduciary duty. Further accusations alleged that more than $100 million was diverted into trust funds, and that the trust funds and sub-trust funds were all insolvent, which means, much like UCLA athletics, are the Spanoses hopelessly in debt? Ruh-roh. Even now, with the Chargers in a major media market, in a state-of-the-art stadium that they didn't even pay to build, CNBC ranks them as only the 26th most valuable NFL franchise. In other words, the Chargers are to money what Jacksonville is to winning football games. So what does this mean for the team? Well, I'm sure team officials will give us the happiest happy talk that ever happened. But put it this way, if you worked for a company bought by a private equity firm, you would hate your life. Because these companies buy other companies in order to turn a money loser into profitability, and then they sell. In other words, they buy in, they cut everything that they see as waste, right down to the bone, and then sell when the business becomes more profitable. So did this play a role in the Chargers' off-season plans? It's actually hard to say. The salary cap is inherently restrictive, but according to overthecap.com, the Bolts have the second most room under the salary cap, and yet they made very few splashy moves. Meanwhile, they lose Poona Ford to the Rams, making the run defense extremely suspect. They didn't solve the interior offensive line with all that cap money. You tell me, is the money funny over with the Bolts? And by the way, does this mean more of the team could get peddled off? Because you're damn right, it could. If you're a Chargers fan, are you concerned? Because let's be real, if they had bothered to improve the offensive and defensive lines, they'd be a real threat. But they're not. They should get to the playoffs, we'd imagine, but they're not a threat to win the bowl. With the WNBA season opening tonight, are the Sparks even close to being back? Well, when the Sparks were good, let's be real about this, nobody cared. The WNBA just languished around for decades. It was David Stern's little vanity project, burning through mountains of money, higher than the one that Heath Ledger burned in The Dark Knight. Nobody watched, nobody cared. Meanwhile, when the Sparks eventually fell on hard times, which could probably be traced back to when former coach GM Derek Fisher traded away Candace Parker, then in a stunning development, people started to care about the WNBA. Not about the Sparks, but the WNBA. And that would be thanks to Caitlin Clark. Don't let the social justice warriors tell you anything differently. Stop fooling yourselves. It's about Caitlin Clark. But let's not kid ourselves on a second point. The WNBA needs the Sparks to succeed because small, insignificant leagues are small and insignificant if the winning franchises play in small and insignificant towns, like Indianapolis. The WNBA is probably overjoyed that their most popular player is in the heartland of America and the best team is in New York. But make no mistake, this league desperately needs the Sparks to finally drop this Real Housewives of the WNBA act and finally play real basketball. Which brings us back to the question, are they back? And the answer, probably not. Don't get me wrong, they made a couple of solid moves in the offseason, which we will get to, but you have to remember how far they've dropped. They only had 8 wins last season, a 4th consecutive year out of the playoffs. The supposed cornerstone of the franchise rebirth, Cameron Brink, her knee collapsed faster than the Afghanistan government. And with the league's worst record, they didn't even get the top pick. So what do they have? Well, they still don't have Cameron Brink. Maybe she's back in June. Hopefully her knee is functional by then because this looks like a team that could actually run. And if it does run, it'll at least be entertaining. The Sparks acquired guard Kelsey Plum from Las Vegas, which is needed because last year the franchise focused on getting bigger players at the expense of guard play. So Plum is going to be this team's North Star. Her reputation is she doesn't put up with a lot of stupidity either, which is lovely. Now, we don't know if the first round pick, Sarah Ashley Barker, will be the other guard. We think it's probably going to be Odyssey Sims. And that is a hint at the second weakness of this team. Sims is not really a starter. For that matter, in an ideal world, neither is Derica Hamby at center. Now, Hamby, from what I understand, would be an extremely useful reserve, kind of like a Swiss Army knife, but she's a center until Brink returns. The Sparks have 2 wingers that should be solid. Rickea Jackson definitely stepped up her game over the course of her rookie season. But overall, it's safe to say this. The Sparks are finally bandaging their own self-inflicted wounds. And they're also trying to play with an edge, which would be from Plum and the new coach, Lynn Roberts. But Roberts is their 4th different coach in 5 years. There is not stability here. Let's not get optimistic with that. If the Sparks double their win total, double it, which is a pretty big ask, maybe they would get the last playoff spot. Maybe. We don't know if Brink will play well or even if she wants to play. Now, the Sparks can count on Plum, Jackson, and Hamby. And by the way, are we even sure that the Sparks cut out all of the drama? You know, there were reports that the team refunded all of their season ticket money, not because the team stunk last year, but because they wanted to double the price and recharge what few fans they actually have. So they're probably better. But do you realistically see them doubling their wins? Let me know what you think in the comments thread. Hiring Ken Holland as the general manager of the LA Kings will not lead to a blowing up of the team. Matter of fact, during his introductory presser, one of the bullet points was to clarify Jim Hiller will return as head coach. Now, Holland added he isn't looking to reinvent the front office either. Look, I do recognize Hiller made a bonehead decision that likely turned momentum of the entire playoff loss to Edmonton, turned it into the Oilers' favor. He incorrectly challenged a call. In the NHL, if you miss a challenge, the other team gets a power play. The Oilers scored, went on to win the game, never looked back. But Holland still praised Hiller for leading the Kings to 105 points in the regular season, which I realize isn't going to satisfy all Kings fans. But there was yet another factor that worked in Hiller's favor. Coaches who would be available, a lot of them are off the market now. Former Kings player Rick Tocchet, he went to Philly. Joe Quenneville went to Anaheim. Now, I do have one quibble during the press conference. Holland referred to Los Angeles as one of the greatest sports cities in all the world. He's wrong. It is the greatest. We can back it up, sir. We can back it up. We spoke in great detail yesterday about how much trouble UCLA's athletic department is in. They're almost $220 million in debt. The LA Times followed up by reporting that unlike other universities, the athletic department is deprived of a revenue stream in that the bookstore controls the logo rights for UCLA t-shirts, sweatshirts, and other things that, sports fans would wear. Moreover, the Associated Student Body actually collects rent from the athletic department for games and practices in Pauley Pavilion, which is bananas. Because you mean to tell me you're technically making your own athletes pay you to play? That doesn't sound elitist. So look, here's where we're at with UCLA and their debt in the athletic department. Everybody right now is pointing fingers at each other. They're all pointing blame. It's been described by a school official as a tool in the box that could help ease their debt. I'm not sure I buy that. We're not talking about tens of millions of dollars annually lost, guys. Luxury boxes at the Rose Bowl and a Fanatics sale is not going to cut it. Scribes are calling it a pitching carousel when a team uses a lot of pitchers. The Dodgers don't have a carousel. They have Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Justin Wrobleski is coming back to the major leagues. JP Fireisen, which is an ironic name considering all the fires he started when he came up to LA. He goes back to the Midwest manure pit. It's literally a swap for an arm that's not about to fall off. The Dodgers bullpen, as we've discussed ad nauseum, is pretty gassed. Meanwhile, former major leaguer Rafael Furcal, who played for the Dodgers briefly, is facing felony charges in Florida. He's been charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon and throwing a missile into a public or private dwelling. A missile. I knew he had a strong arm. Hey-yo. Look, to be clear, it wasn't a Tomahawk cruise missile that he threw. It was a rock. Furcal said that he was being attacked by a guy with a knife. What do I know? I don't live in Florida, thank the Lord. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. If you're a Chargers fan, are you kind of like, wait, who's running the show now? And for that matter, are you even remotely confident in the Sparks making the playoffs this year? And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thanks for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Corte El Queso production. Take care.